Welcome back to the Taylor Compound. Today I'm here with Madison and Becca, and we're taking you on a journey into one of America's most beautiful and accessible national parks, Shenandoah, just an hour from our home in Virginia, and very close to my dad's house in Luray, Virginia. This park practically is part of our family story. We've been there at least over 100 times. We've hiked its mountains, swam its waterfalls, floated its rivers, and explored its surrounding towns. Today, we're going to share not just the adventures, but also the fascinating history, wildlife, and fun facts that make Shenandoah so special. If you've never been here before, by the end of this, you'll want to pack your hiking boots and head straight for Skyline Drive.
Shenandoah officially became a national park in 1935, but the story goes back much further. The vision was to create a mountain retreat for East Coast families, especially those in Washington, D.C. who couldn't afford to travel out west to Yellowstone or Yosemite. It was also chosen to be the national park that would represent the Appalachian Mountains, bringing the wild beauty of the Blue Ridge into the national spotlight.
But the creation came at a cost. Over 465 families were forced from their homes in the Blue Ridge Mountains. Some had lived there for generations, farming, raising livestock, and building tight-knit mountain communities. The state of Virginia used eminent domain to seize the land, and many families never forgave the loss. Their abandoned homes, orchids, and cemeteries are still scattered throughout the park, silent reminders of the people who once called these mountains home.
Once the land was cleared, the Civilian Conservation Corps stepped in. Thousands of young men, many of them unemployed because of the Great Depression, came to Shenandoah to build infrastructure. Between 1933 and 1942, they constructed trails, campgrounds, picnic areas, stone walls, and of course, Skyline Drive. They planted trees, restored streams, and even built visitor centers. The work is the backbone of the park we see today.
In July 1936, President Franklin D. Roosevelt stood at Big Meadows, one of the park's most famous meadows, and officially dedicated Shenandoah. His words reminded Americans that preserving wild places was not just for the wealthy, but for everyone. Today, Shenandoah welcomes about 1.5 million visitors a year, ranking it among the most visited national parks in the country.
I want to talk about hikes in Shenandoah. We'll start with the big one, Old Rag Mountain. If you've heard of Shenandoah, you've probably heard of Old Rag Mountain hike.
Old Rag is a 9.4-mile loop that is widely considered one of the most challenging hikes in the park. It includes a nearly mile-long rock scramble where you're literally pulling yourself up boulders, squeezing through cracks, and climbing ledges. It is not just a walk in the woods, it's an adventure. The rocks themselves are ancient. Some of the granite at Old Rag is over 1 billion years old, formed long before the Appalachian Mountains rose. And when you finally reach the summit, you get the most spectacular views on the East Coast. A 360-degree panorama of the Shenandoah Valley, the Blue Ridge, and the rolling farmland below.
Because of its popularity, Old Rag now requires a day-use ticket system from March through November. Tickets must be reserved online in advance through recreation.gov. Only 800 tickets are issued per day, 400 released 30 days ahead, and 400 released 5 days ahead. Each hiker needs their own ticket. This helps limit overcrowding on the trail and protect both the environment and the hiker experience. Right now, Old Rag is the only hike in Shenandoah that uses this kind of system, so if you want to tackle it, make sure you plan ahead.
We have tackled Old Rag a few times as a family, and I undersold how tough it was probably every single time. By the time you finish, you are wore out for sure, but standing at the summit really makes it worth it. It's kind of one of those hikes that you'll never forget, and it's a journey. Like Madison said, it's about 9 miles. The first part of it, they have a lot of switchbacks in the beginning, and then the rock scramble is supposed to be the hardest part of that hike, but I find that to be the easiest part. I get to use my arms and legs and kind of scramble through the rocks for miles. And to me, that's the easiest part of that hike.
Yeah, I enjoy the obstacles going through the rocks. When you're going up the mountain after the rock scramble, there's tons of false peaks where it's just beautiful views looking into the Shenandoah Valley. We stopped in there for lunch and ate our sandwiches and stuff, took a little break before we made our way to the top.
Yeah, we stopped a couple times to eat snacks. The false peaks, don't let them fool you, because a lot of people think they're at the top and they're not. And so you have miles to go. Make sure you prepare ahead of time for sure.
Is Old Rag scary height-wise? Because I've never been on it, but I want to be like.
It's definitely not a scary hike because there's no really like ledges like Angel's Landing or anything like that. But it is a long hike, and you have to pack plenty of water, make sure you have plenty of food. There's beautiful overlooks there. You get a 360 view of, all the surrounding areas, which is really kind of a neat place. Now, for the opposite, Stony Man Mountain is a nice hike as well. So if you want a short, accessible, but still stunning view, then I would recommend Stony Man hike, which we do quite often, actually.
It's just a 1.6-mile loop, making it one of the park's easiest summit hikes. But don't let that fool you. When you reach the top at 4,011 feet, you'll get sweeping views of the Shenandoah Valley, Massanutten Mountain, and the Piedmont.
The mountain is named for the rock formation at the summit, which looks like a giant stone face gazing at the sky. And Stony Man is also a prime habitat for peregrine falcons, which were reintroduced here after nearly going extinct in the east.
So we've done Stony Man multiple times. What I like about it is it's probably one of the better areas of like Skyline Drive, which is in the Shenandoah National Park, that has a beautiful sunset.
And we usually do this hike with another hike that's nearby just outside of the park called Bear Fence, which also has the 360 panorama view at the top and a rock scramble.
On a clear day, from both of those, you can see just multiple mountain ranges, which is gorgeous as well.
One of the park's most popular trails is Dark Hollow Falls. It's short, but it leads to one of the park's most beautiful waterfalls.
The hike is just 1.4-mile round trip, but it drops steeply down to a 70-foot waterfall. The sound of rushing water fills the canyon, and in the summer, the cool mist feels amazing after the walk.
It's also one of the most photographed spots in Shenandoah. In spring, wildflowers line the trail, and in the fall, the colors around the falls make it look like a painting. Because of its popularity, it's often very busy, but I think it's worth it to see.
Yeah, so I did this hike in college with my mom because it's one of the first ones that pop up whenever you just Google hikes in the park. And I should have warned her first or looked at all trails better because it is a steep downhill and then a steep uphill back. So if it's the middle of the summer, definitely be prepared for that hike back uphill.
It's one of the most popular hikes because it's closer to the visitor center, and I think that's why a lot of people go to it. But to me, it wasn't my favorite. You go downhill, and then it's a struggle to get back up that hill. And every time I go, I see people, even myself, who are taking a lot of breaks and sometimes wondering, why did I go down this hill? Because I have to climb back up. And so I think it would be I think I hiked it in the middle of summer, and so it was really hot. Maybe easier in the fall or cooler seasons for sure. That leads me to White Oak Canyon, which is our absolute family favorite hike to do. And we've done that, probably 50 times. And so that's the one I want to talk about now.
This trail features 6 major waterfalls. The tallest is 86 feet, plus countless cascades. It is also a hotspot for salamanders and wildflowers, thanks to its cool, moist environment.
The full loop with Cedar Run is about 8 miles with over 2,000 feet of elevation gain. It's tough, but also one of the most rewarding hikes in the park. And unlike most trails, you can actually swim in some of the natural pools here.
So our experience with this hike is vast, and the fact that we live close to Shenandoah National Park, and this is the hike that we've done about 50 times, should say a lot, because each time you hike it, it's different. And we've hiked it in the spring, summer, fall, winter, right? And it's just amazing hike. There's multiple paths you can take, or you can do the full loop. I think the full loop is close to 8 miles. You could go halfway there's a right to one of the bigger falls, and then to the left you can connect with two different falls. One of them's an actual slide. But what I remember, I guess most recently, is this winter we went, and I think it was 11-degree weather, It was the first time we did this, what I call the ice hike each year at White Oak Canyon, where the waterfall was essentially completely frozen. And the pool below it was also frozen. We got to walk very close to the waterfall. The walk going there, you see the streams and lots of like little stalactites of ice. It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous time. You bundle up, and by the time you get to the falls, you're warm and you've taken off your layers, and you see the most spectacular things in the winter on this waterfall hike.
Going the left side of this hike, you can get to a waterfall slide, like John was saying.
When we take that direction, rather than following the crowds that go there, we usually walk through the stream to get to a waterfall that you would miss if you're on the regular hike to the left side, if you take that route. And we hang out at that waterfall, we dip in that pool, and then we climb this like very steep, grassy, we'll call it a mountain, to get back to the trail. But it's, I think it's easier to go that direction. It's more rewarding. They even have a fern wall, which is kind of neat. And then you get to go and watch people go down this 100-foot waterfall slide.
Yeah, there's also a cliff jump there.
Yeah. So I've done
like a fun spot.
I've done the cliff jump before. When you hit that water, it is ice cold. It shocks you. But I've never done the slide because to me that looks dangerous.
The slide, it's a slide. It's a slide.
It's a natural slide.
It's a waterfall that people have decided that they can slide down.
Exactly.
I've seen many people get injured doing it. So.
There's actually a better, less steep slide going down if you go towards the right side to the actual White Oak
The
Falls.
smaller one. Yeah.
There's a small, gentle slide that I would recommend you go to instead if you.
We have said slide multiple times.
Slide.
I'll let it slide.
I think I put.
Let that slide. So just remember, these are rock formations that were naturally made. Madison says she's seen people get injured. There's never been any serious injuries that we've seen, but people bounce and bump.
No, it looks fun.
And
really
end up in the pool, right? At the end of the waterfall.
Everybody seems to have a great time.
Yeah, even if they get a couple of scratches and bruises, it's nothing too serious that we've seen.
It's really neat to watch for sure. I will never do that, to go down one of those slides. But I like to watch for sure. The mountains are incredible, but the Shenandoah River is just as iconic. We've tubed and kayaked multiple times, and it's always really kind of an unforgettable time.
The river flows about 55 miles before joining the Potomac. Its name, Shenandoah, is often translated as Daughter of the Stars. It was vital to Native Americans for travel and trade, and later during the Civil War, it was strategically important. Strategically.
It's also a wildlife haven. Smallmouth bass, catfish, and sunfish fill the waters, while bald eagles, herons, and river otters thrive along the banks. Floating the river feels like drifting through a living nature documentary. I've never seen river otters there.
I've seen them before. I would say about every other summer. And sometimes we do spans where we do it every summer. We just spend hours tubing down the river. We usually get a big raft, just letting the current carry us with mountains rising on both sides. We usually take a large group of family and friends. We rent tubes at a place called, I think it's Downriver Falls.
Downriver Canoe Company.
Downriver Canoe Company. They're amazing, very efficient there. They drive you down river, drop you in with canoes, kayaks, tubes, rafts, whatever you decide to rent for that day. And you float down river, you carry your lunch and some water and sometimes cocktails and a speaker. And
I've seen some people with snorkels and they just are face down the whole time.
Yeah. And then usually people in our group will bring fishing poles and they catch smallmouth bass. And so the river experience is something that you absolutely have to do at some point in your life because it's gorgeous.
It's pretty.
Yeah. And then we go on into wildlife, right? Shenandoah is alive with wildlife. It's one of the reasons we keep going back, actually.
The park has one of the densest black bear populations in the country, with an estimated 800 to 1,000 black bears. Sightings are common, though usually brief.
I did not know there was that many black bears. I did not process that until just now. But there are also over 200 bird species. Warblers migrate through in spring, scarlet tanagers flash red in summer, and hawks ride the thermals in fall. Shenandoah is a birder's paradise.
Let's not forget the smaller creatures. Shenandoah is the salamander capital of the world, home to dozens of species that thrive in the park's wet forest.
I thought we agreed on damp or humid.
Damp, humid forest. In total, there is 50 mammals, 200 birds, 30 reptiles, 40 amphibians recorded here. It's a biodiversity hotspot. Now that we've touched on wildlife, we'll head to some of the surrounding towns, because this is, if you're not staying at the park, then you probably want to stay in one of these surrounding towns. Shenandoah doesn't exist in isolation. The surrounding towns make... Are you laughing at me? That's surrounding.
Take a shot every time he says surrounding towns.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk a little bit about the towns that are on the edges of Shenandoah National Park. Shenandoah doesn't exist in isolation. The surrounding towns make the experience even richer.
Luray is famous for Luray Caverns, the largest caverns on the East Coast, with cathedral-like chambers and towering formations. It was discovered in 1878 and has been drawing in visitors ever since.
The town also played a role in the Civil War with nearby battles and troop movements. And its Luray Carillon, with 47 bells, is one of the largest musical instruments in the country.
Yeah, it's kind of neat to watch that, right? I would love to know how that was constructed, really.
Mm-hmm.
Luray is kind of a second home for us because my parents have lived there for a long time. Dad lives there now. It's really a family spot for us, and so we usually stay at Yogi Bear Jellystone campsite, which is a fantastic, very clean, large, right at the base of the mountains, surrounded by mountains, gorgeous, gorgeous place. That's one of my favorite places to stay if we're not staying at Dad's house. We also take our bikes, and Luray has a wonderful greenway, and many of our friends walk that greenway daily. But we ride our bikes through the greenway and then ride it through town, and then there's this beautiful old mansion called...
Has a great downhill for the bikes.
Memslum, and you can stream downhill. There's a lot of uphills too. And then we hit some of the restaurants while we're there. We hit some of the shops, and then we bike back to the starting point at the greenway, where we load up the bikes and then head back to see Dad or go to the campsite. And so Luray is a beautiful place.
Yeah, you can tell how we pronounce Luray, that we have family that lives there.
Yeah.
That's funny. Sperryville is another one, and Madison can tell us a little bit.
Sperryville is small but full of charm. It is known for art galleries, cideries, and some of the best farm-to-table restaurants in Virginia.
It's also historic, once a stopover for travelers crossing the Blue Ridge. Today, it still feels timeless, with old buildings repurposed into creative spaces.
It's one of our favorite post-hike stops. Nothing beats the fresh cider, if you like cider, after a long day on the trail.
Oh, fresh pizza.
Fresh pizza, because they have Rappahannock Pizza Kitchen. They have a bar called Bar Francis or Bar Francais.
I think it's Bar Francis.
I gotcha. I like to add some flair to it. But they serve some nice cocktails there.
Spirit of Sperry.
Yeah, and so our really kind of our path usually is we'll leave from Northern Virginia. We drive out and we go through Sperryville. Usually guys stop and, we grab some waters and usually grab some like cookies and bakery stuff, and then use the restroom before we start heading towards the trail, which is in the White Oak Trail is about 13 miles away and close to Syria, Virginia. We do the trail, and then on the way back from the trail, we stop at one of the most beautiful wineries with the best wine, and that place is called Ducard Winery. And so they have live music there. They have a beautiful views, and like I said, the wine's delicious. And then we usually leave there and then head over back to Sperryville, and usually we'll grab some food there. Rappahannock Pizza Kitchen, they serve all sorts of wonderful food, including the pizza, and maybe possibly have a cocktail if we hadn't had too much wine, and then we head home And so Sperryville is a beautiful, wonderful place to visit for sure. They have great restaurants there.
Front Royal is considered the northern gateway to the Shenandoah. The park's Skyline Drive begins here, and the town is full of outdoor outfitters and historic buildings.
Front Royal was also a Civil War hotspot, with the Battle of Front Royal fought in 1862. The town is full of history while also serving as a hub for park visitors.
Front Royal is actually a place where most visitors start their Shenandoah National Park journey, actually.
I didn't know that.
And we usually camp there once a year with family and friends. Really great campsites. If you go into the town of Front Royal, there's some good restaurants and breweries in it as well. Waynesboro is the southern gateway to Skyline Drive in the Blue Ridge Parkway. It is known for its murals, breweries, and live music.
It was also a key railroad town during the Civil War and later became a center for Appalachian culture and crafts.
For us, it's where Skyline Drive ends, but adventure continues on the Blue Ridge Parkway. Been to Waynesboro a couple times, like the detail that Madison gave. There's breweries, there's live music, there's murals. I used to pick up paintings there from P. Buckley Moss, I think. An artist that my mom liked a lot. It's a beautiful little town for sure. Highly recommend to go there.
And she was actually there one time, and she was able to sign a bunch of paintings.
She got them signed?
Yeah, that we bought a bunch of paintings for Grandma.
Nice. Before we move on, let's take a moment to highlight some of the most fascinating facts about Shenandoah National Park.
Skyline Drive runs 105 miles along the crest of the Blue Ridge. Built in the 1930s, it's considered one of the most scenic roads in America. Driving in fall when the leaves explode in color is bucket list worthy. The tallest waterfall, overall, Run Falls, plunges 93 feet. In the winter, it freezes into massive icicles, while in the spring, it melts and makes thunder with its power.
The park covers nearly 200,000 acres, and about 40% is designated wilderness, meaning it will remain undeveloped forever. The Blue Ridge Mountains are some of the oldest in the world, eroded from once towering peaks that may have rivaled the Himalayas.
The Appalachian Trail runs through Shenandoah National Park. It's about 101 miles, making it one of the longest continuous sections within a national park. The American chestnut tree, which this was an interesting fact, once was the dominant species there, was wiped out by blight in the early 1900s. Today, researchers are working to restore that.
The park is home to over 850 species of flowering plants. In the spring, trillium carpets the forest floor, while in the fall, goldenrod and asters paint the meadows. Fall colors attract more visitors than any other season. Up to 60,000 cars a week travel Skyline Drive in peak foliage.
Shenandoah experiences about 200 foggy days a year, especially along Skyline Drive. The mist gives the park its moody, dreamlike character. It's also one of Virginia's best stargazing spots. With little light pollution, you can see the Milky Way arching overhead.
The climate here is surprisingly diverse. Summer highs on the ridges can be 10 to 20 degrees lower than in the valleys. Heavy rainstorms can cause flash floods in steep canyons like White Oak Canyon, and the winter brings an average of 30 inches of snow to the high elevations.
One of the coolest details about the Blue Ridge is how it got its name. Trees like oak and tulip poplars release chemicals called isoprenes, which scatter light and create a natural blue haze over the mountains.
Which is why they call it
the Blue Ridge Mountains. And like so many wild places, Shenandoah is already feeling the impacts of climate change. Scientists are seeing more frequent flash floods, longer wildfire seasons, and shifts in when flowers bloom or leaves change color. It's a reminder that protecting this park means planning for the future as well as honoring the past.
Before we wrap up, let's share a few practical tips for visiting Shenandoah.
First, timing matters. Fall is by far the busiest when Skyline Drive is packed with visitors chasing peak foliage. Spring is wonderful for wildflowers, and in the summer, the swimming holes are unbeatable. Winter is the quietest season with snow-dusted trails and empty overlooks.
Speaking of swimming in the swimming holes, White Oak Canyon has some of the best, but you can also cool off in the South River Falls, Doyle River Falls, just be prepared that the mountain water is cold.
Getting into the park is easy from multiple entrances depending on where you're coming from. Front Royal is the northern gateway closer to DC. Thornton Gap is great if you're coming from Northern Virginia. Swift Run Gap works if you're near Charlottesville, and Rockfish Gap takes you in from the south, right where Skyline Drive meets the Blue Ridge Parkway. It's also worth noting that Shenandoah charges an entrance fee, $30 per vehicle for a 7-day pass. If you visit multiple parks a year, the America the Beautiful annual pass at $80 will save you a lot of money. We always get that.
And if you're camping, Shenandoah has 3 main campgrounds: Matthews Arms, Big Meadows, and Loft Mountain. Big Meadows is the most popular, right in the center of the park near the visitor services. If you can't find a spot inside, nearby Shenandoah River State Park has beautiful riverside sites too.
So whether you're scrambling Old Rag, you're floating the Shenandoah River, you're exploring the caverns in Luray, or you're stargazing on Skyline Drive, Shenandoah really has something for everyone. Thanks for joining us on the Taylor Compound. Shenandoah isn't just a gem to us, but it's really an American treasure. Remember to visit and respect your national parks, right? We visited 55 of 63. All I have left is Alaska, and I'm very excited about that next year. So that'll make it so that I've been to all the national parks. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share, please. Our adventures. We like sharing some of the tips that we've picked up from these trips. So remember to enjoy your national parks and keep exploring.